Well, hello, everyone. I would like to greet you today. I am going to cover the March 2nd, just for today, in a meditation. Let me formally introduce myself. My name is MightyStream. I'm brought to you by the Hope Through Navigation organization, and this is the Hood Recovery Services Program. Hood, now that acronym, H.O.O.D, stands for Hope Offered on Demand. And that's what I am offering today. I am offering hope to those individuals that feel semi hopeless or completely hopeless. I want to say to you that you are not by yourself. We have all passed through quite a bit with this pandemic. And so, if your mood swings are up and down, you're a little depressed, you don't have the thrive that you used to have, you don't have the passion that you used to have, maybe you've taken some hits, maybe you've lost some loved ones, maybe you're just having a hard time dealing with this social dilemma. I want to call it a social dilemma that we are experiencing. Some of the people want to be mask free, some of the people don't. Some of the people want face to face encounters, some of the people don't. And this is causing everyone to do a double take on everything that they thought they knew is normal. And I just want to say to you, give yourself room. Give yourself room to go through this. However you feel, we don't have to be so quick to correct every emotion that we experience. And that's the key word. We are in a position today as recovering individuals to experience our emotions, to pass through them at a pace that suits us. Because if you rush it and you have not completely healed to get onto the other side, then that means your foundation is going to have some cracks in it. And when pressure comes up against that foundation, because you had to put the mask on, you had to meet the parts, you had to be where you had to be, you had to dress up, right? Whatever it is, and I am talking about in a spiritual sense, okay? So, whatever it is, if you rush through that process, your process, that means that there are going to be some areas down the road where you're going to notice that there's loopholes or there's cracks in your foundation. And now you have to double back and seal them up. So that's why I say just for today. Let's deal with today. Let's deal with where you are just for today. I am at some point in time going to start reading the just for today reading that we use in our fellowship because I think it's very important, just as important as the serenity prayer. So, with that, let's take a moment of silence and get into the March 2nd, just for today, in a meditation, which a good friend of mine noted on the radio today. She noted that these spiritual principles are beneficial for everyone. And you know, in our fellowship, in NA, we have this little thing that we say, if this was for everyone that needed it, our rooms would be so full. But this is for those that want it. These are spiritual principles that are, I would have to say, universal. These are applicable in every area of life. And so, even if you are not an individual recovering from the disease of addiction, right? Maybe that gives you reason for pause, but maybe there's something else that you are struggling with. And that's what I appreciate about what she was saying, because she wanted to make sure that her listeners didn't just, cut me off because I was talking about 12-step programs or because I was talking about the disease of addiction. She was saying, you know, I benefit from this Just for Today meditation on a daily basis. I listen to you on every morning. And she was just letting her listeners know, her audience, if I benefit and you listen to me every Saturday, maybe you might benefit from this too. And so if you are new on board, you're a new subscriber, I want to say welcome. MightyStream welcomes you. Hope Through Navigation welcomes you. H.O.O.D Recovery Services welcomes you. The Recovery and Resiliency Trauma Center of Hope welcomes you. So relax. You're welcome here. So let's go to sharing the screen. Here we are. It says March 2nd, success. Any form of success was frightening and unfamiliar. And that comes from the basic text, page 14. Before coming to NA, few of us had much experience with success. Every attempt to stop using on our own had failure in the end, had ended in failure, rather. Every attempt to stop using on our own had ended in failure. We had begun to give up hope of finding any relief from active addiction. We had grown accustomed to failure, expecting it, accepting it, thinking it was just a part of our makeup. When we stay clean, we begin to experience success in our lives. We begin to take pride in our accomplishments. We start to take healthy risks. We may take some knocks in the process, but even these can be counted as successes if we learn from them. Sometimes when we fulfill a goal, we hesitate to pat ourselves on the back for fear that we will seem arrogant. But our higher power wants us to succeed and wants us to share with our loved ones the pride we take in our accomplishments. When we share our successes with others in NA, they often begin to believe that they can achieve their goals as well. When we succeed, we help lay the groundwork for others who follow in our path. Just for today, I will take time to savor my successes. I will share my victories with an attitude of gratitude. Wow. I don't even know what to say. it just, I don't even know, like, I'm trying to wrap my brain around what I'm feeling inside right now. Like the excitement that I am feeling at this very moment. I have to tell you a story. I always have a story to tell you. Hold on, I have to tell you a story. Let me sip my coffee here. I have to tell you this story. This is important. When I was talking to my friend on her radio show, I can't really remember how far back we go, but I would say school age. We pretty much grew up in the same block, and I remember seeing her always. I remember seeing her always. And the thing that I admired about her the most, she has like these small eyes. They're kind of they're not slanted. I wouldn't say slanted, but she has very small eyes. And then she has a high cheekbone, full cheeks, and her hairline was always, you could tell she had a lot of hair. She had a full hairline. And she still does to this day. God bless her, right? Okay. So her hair was always, 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 always very thick. And she was like a caramel color. And I remember thinking to myself, she knows who she is. There's no doubt. Like her poise and her posture in every interaction that I ever witnessed her in was like she was strong, like she was being raised to believe in herself. So today, when I listen to her on the radio or I see her emceeing for events, I still see those same characteristics. And the truth be told, this is the absolute truth. When I am doing a podcast or I am speaking or I won't say just speaking, maybe I'm emceeing something. She is one of those individuals that I look towards. Now, would she say this? Would she do that? She's a classy lady. How can I emulate what she does and what I'm doing? And I would say that our personalities are different, more similar than different, but there's enough variation in our personalities that you would never think that she and I are the same or we bring the same vibe at all. I just see her very strong and Afrocentric and powerful with her voice and standing up and speaking out. And I think about her often when I'm undertaking a project. Now, she probably doesn't know that. She knows it probably now, but she probably doesn't know that and has not ever been told that. And this is how it works. This is how it works. Because as you see here, it says sometimes when we fulfill a goal, right here, we hesitate to pat ourselves on the back for fear that we will seem arrogant. And then it goes on to tell us that we need to share our accomplishments with our families, our friends, our loved ones. When we share our successes with others in NA, they often begin to believe that they can achieve their goals as well. Let me stop this share real quick. All right, so hopefully that won't come back up. But the point that I'm making is that it's very important for us to be able to acknowledge the things that we have accomplished and that we're able to share some of those accomplishments, because when we share our successes, you never know who is watching you. You never know who is listening to you, and you never really know just how far your experience, your strength, and your hope will go. This is a fact, especially in our fellowship. Many of our members who are on the speaking circuit, they're called repeatedly to go to different conventions and share. It's more by word of mouth than it is people having a personal experience with them. And so they invite them. Yeah, you have to submit your CD. You have to submit you speaking and they listen to you, the committee that chooses individuals to speak, the programming committee. But oftentimes that programming committee, there's someone sitting on there that generally will say, we should get so-and-so. Everyone knows that this person has a powerful message. And by word of mouth, oftentimes they are invited over and over, flown into cities and put up in hotels so that they can be the main speaker for one of the days, right? It's usually like a 3-day convention. And then you have your Friday night main speaker, Saturday and Sunday. And it's generally by word of mouth that these individuals are able to secure that particular position of service to share. And I just want to say, you never know when you have that attitude of gratitude, when you share your victories, you never know where it's going to land you. You never know who is going to hear about it and be touched by it. And I am also saying you will never know until you begin to do that, just how intentional God can be about bringing you into connection with certain people that He intends for you to be connected to, right? For the benefit not of just yourself, but for the of those that are listening to you, those that are hearing your message of recovery. So today I want to challenge you. Today I want to encourage you, and I want you to start taking note. I used to call my successes my prayer trophies because I was always praying not to fail. I had a lot of fear of failure, and I wanted to be successful. And when things would turn out better than I could even have imagined, those were my prayer trophies, and I would put them in a journal. So that kind of like your gratitude list, right? So that as things would come up that didn't feel so good sometimes, I could go back. I could go back. Do you hear me? MightyStream could go back and look in her journaling and see all of these mighty things that had taken place, all of these successful things that have taken. I'm working on a double master's. Let me tell you. Let me tell you what. I do not have time in a day. I'm serious. I do not have time in a day for hardly anything extra to be put on my plate. But you know what? And you can ask anybody in my house and pretty much anyone that knows me. You can ask them, is she begrudging? Does she have attitude, like bad attitude when she's undertaking all these things that she's multitasking? Does she have bad attitude? Is she the type of person nobody wants to be around? And they will tell you absolutely not. She's always positive. She's always uplifting. Even if she's going through a storm, she is always looking for the hand of God in her situation and believing in faith. Her step 2, that she can be restored to sanity, right? The situation can be restored to sanity. I'm telling you, I don't know where I got that from. I really don't. I don't know where I got that level of faith, bold faith from. But I am grateful that I have it because it has carried me through some very serious circumstances. And my successes today are not just my successes. You know, I was sharing with her the CEO of Hope Through Navigation, Gwendolyn Hooker. I was sharing how we were discussing at one point in time about having 12-step meetings in this recovery home. And even though I was very hesitant to do those in person, how after discussing it and just kind of, we didn't decide just like in one day. We had several discussions about it. And I was telling her, I don't see a lot of people being ready to do in-person meetings right now. And you know what she said? And it stays with me because I've seen in these 5 years of Hope Through Navigation, navigating people towards hope and into their own hopefulness. I have seen the CEO of Hope Through Navigation continually show up day after day after day after day to steer this big ship at the helm, steering it. Consistency is the key. There's one last story I want to share with you before I let you go on March 2nd to challenge you to record your successes and make a point. I don't want you to be proud about it, but I want you to start making a point of not only sharing your trouble when you're sharing in a meeting, but share your successes. People need hope, and people need to see and understand that you have similar things come up that are negative, but you press in and you are successful because you stayed the course. Stay in the course. I want to teach this really, really quick. I want to speak on this or teach this. It's about this concept of ships that are sailing. Sometimes the wind coming against them is too powerful for them to go in a straight line. Even eagles, when they fly in the V formation, they do this too, right? But sometimes the ship cannot go from A to B directly. There's a term called tacking, and I want you to research it. Tacking. Sometimes you have to tack your way from one point to the next point. That means you have to kind of cut in a zigzag. And you have to have some acceptance that everything in life is not going to be a straight line. You have to have some acceptance in your third step, right? That you turn your will and your life over to a care of God as you understand him, right? That some of this detour that you consider out of the way is God tacking your course, because there's something else along the way that you need to pick up, something you need to learn, something you need to put in your toolkit so that when you get to where you're trying to go, you have all of the tools that you need for that destination or that encounter or that appointment, right? My grandmother, she used to always say, God will never take you anywhere his spirit cannot keep you. Narcotics Anonymous is not a religious program. It is a spiritual one. And I am telling you this as sure as anything else that I know. I will never back down from this being a spiritual program. I will never not talk about God because someone is fearful of a religion or religion in general. Because when I got here, I did not like the way people were sharing in the rooms. They were just way too religious, one too many hallelujahs for me. But after time, I got to understand that they hadn't evolved completely. They hadn't evolved completely to the point where they understand that each person has the right to have a God of their own understanding. And that in the sharing, we make sure that we're not chasing people out of the rooms. That doesn't mean that you are denying your faith. I had to learn that. I had to learn that my God is bigger than all religions put together. And that I have the ability to encounter anyone from any faith and stand on all 10. I do not have to negotiate in order to have an encounter, and a positive one at that. So this is a spiritual program, and MightyStream will never cease to speak about spiritual matters. That's a promise I made to my higher power, that if you could show me and prove to me that you've forgiven me and teach me how to forgive myself for some of the wayward things I had done in my disease of addiction, active addiction. If you could show me, prove to me that you have forgiven me, I'll give you my life. And do you know what? In 2014, he sealed it up. My God sealed it up with 2 boys, great nephews that needed to be raised. He brought me full circle, and I have not stopped. I have not stopped serving my higher power through this program. And I will never stop. That you can believe. I hope that in these 26, 27 minutes, that you're thinking about your successes, that you're thinking about how God has allowed you to tack along the way to pick up the tools that you needed so that you could do what you're doing right now. And if what you're doing right now doesn't seem to be all that spiritual, let's make it simple. If it's not practical, it's not spiritual, right? So if it doesn't seem to be practical, you need to take a second look. That's all. That's all. You don't need to beat yourself up about that. You just need to take another look at it and say, okay, that's not very practical for me to be dealing with this particular person in this particular way, because it leaves me feeling a certain kind of way that changes my whole attitude all day long. Right? So if it's not practical, it's not spiritual. There's a bunch of little sayings. I think one day I'll do a podcast on the sayings in our program that we use and what they mean to me. I know to everyone they can mean something different, but I just want to say to you today, based on March 2nd's reading, I want you to look at your successes, and I want you to promise me that today you're going to take the time to enumerate them, right? I want you to number them, write them down somewhere, and be ready to expound or to share with someone else. Not from a prideful point of view, but for you to be an attraction to someone else. That if you could do it, they can do it, right? We say in this program all the time, no big I's or little U's. Today, I want you to show me that you can do that. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for listening.